Hi everybody, X-Cross Motovlogs here. It's been a long time since I've done a video. Okay, so for today's topic, I'm going to talk about tolerance. I've been getting into quite a few conversations in terms of faith and beliefs, and interestingly enough, some of the other people who have other faiths or so, they talk about tolerance and how that's a good amount of their faith, or it's an important factor of their faith. And not only that, but also the misconception that Christians are supposed to be tolerant, according to them, that they supposedly think that Jesus was tolerant. And it's very interesting in the mindset of they believe that we're just supposed to accept people the way they are, and their version of that is not the biblical version. And if you hold on to what I'm saying, perhaps I could shed some light on what I mean by that. Now, first off, I want to give the viewpoint of the world, in the sense of, I just tolerate people, I just accept them for who they are and all these things. And oddly enough, there's even seems to be a lack of either accountability or lack of just responsibility with that idea. When they mean tolerance, they just say, don't judge me, accept everyone for who they are, don't try to change people, kind of a tolerance. And though it is true, I don't try to change people, I do, as a Christian, as a follower of Christ, it is my duty to try and convince people that there is a wrong way of doing things and there is a right way of doing things. There are bad things that we do and there are good things that we do. And in the name of tolerance, the world will say, yeah, don't judge me, accept me for who I am. Give ear to my feelings, and because I feel a certain way, then you just have to deal with it. And I believe that that's honestly a very dangerous way of thinking. To prove my point a little bit, perhaps, I hope you come to understand why I don't believe that to be true. I'm just going to give an example. Say that a person says, oh, well, I like stealing from people, I feel it makes me feel good, or I'm a sadist and it makes me feel good when I hurt people. So if you don't accept me for who I am as a sadist, then you're not tolerant. And that person would be right, because tolerating someone means to let them, just accepting them basically for whatever it is, and that there's no ultimate good or bad. I can't accept certain actions. If God says something is good, then I ought to encourage someone to act in that way. And if God says something is evil, then I ought to tell them, this isn't as good as you think it is. In fact, it's hurting people. And no, I can't tolerate that. There's quite a few ways where God actually says in Psalms and Proverbs and this, even straight from the mouth of Jesus in the book of Revelation, he says, because you tolerate sin, you tolerate idolatry, and you tolerate to perform sexual sin, I have this against you. But turn away from that, speak for what is right, basically. And tolerance is actually painted as kind of not good in that particular light. And I think most people, they think, well, aren't we supposed to tolerate people as Christians? And I think they often confuse tolerance with patience, because in Exodus, right when God reveals himself to Moses and he passes through, he says, as he's passing through, he says, the Lord, abounding in perfect love, long-suffering, who will by no means let those get away with iniquity, basically. I'll put that up as well. But he will reward those who do good. And it becomes this thing. He doesn't say, I'm tolerant. He says, I'm patient. I'm long-suffering. I'm patiently waiting for you to turn away. I'm giving you the chance to turn away from those things that I do not tolerate because of my mercy. I'm merciful. I believe that's part of that verse as well. He says, abounding in mercy. And many times when you see the word tolerate, it's like, I did not tolerate evil, or I don't tolerate evil. The psalmist will say, God, because you don't like that. To tolerate evil is doing evil. But to have patience with someone who's doing evil is giving them a chance to turn. It's giving them mercy. And God is perfect in his judgments and knows when the last time, or whether or not we turn from our ways. And so, but he still gives us a chance. And so many people think that Christians are supposed to be tolerant, but that's not what the Bible officially says. It actually says more against being tolerant than for it. It says be merciful, be patient, but to tolerate is a different thing than to be patient, than to be merciful. There's a chance for each and every one of us to turn, and we need to realize that we've sinned against the holy God. We need to realize that when he says my law is perfect, that every word of that comes forth is perfect and makes men turn away from iniquity. More precious are they than rubies. I remember many people that once I found my faith, they're like, oh, I'm happy for you, glad that works for you, but my God is a God of tolerance. And quite frankly, I said, well, does your God tolerate evil? Because then I can't follow that God. My God isn't a God of tolerance. He's a God of patience and long-suffering, a God of mercy, but he's also a perfect judge. He will judge. He will call us to a higher standard. And then just to be clear, he doesn't, yes, he accepts us where we're at, but he doesn't expect us to stay there. When he accepts us, he says, yes, I realize you're broken, but if you come to me, if you turn from your ways, I will make you better. I will create in you a new heart, one that loves righteousness, and I will cause you to walk in righteousness. Follow me. He says, come as you are, and let me change who you are. He doesn't say, come as you are and stay as you are, because how we were was the way that led to death in the first place. Why would he affirm us in our sin? Why would he affirm us to keep walking the way of the world, to not be different than the world? He says, you shall be different from me. You shall be separated from the world, a sanctified people to me. You live in the world, but you are not of the world. You're to be different. You're to be holy. You're to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. He calls us to higher standard. He doesn't leave us the way we were. If we truly surrender to his ways, he will change us. There may be times when we may be stepped over and when we allow evil to happen to us, but it doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean that we accept the evil towards us. We just show grace and love and surrender to the God who gave us life. Because there will come a time of repayment. There will come a time when he judges the world for all the evil that we have done. And he will be fair and true. Does that mean that we as Christians can't judge? By no means. He says, when you judge, judge righteously. In other words, judge according to my word. Because as Jesus said, my word will judge them in the last day. It will stand against them if they don't come under mercy. And I'm willing to give mercy. I want you home with me. Christ says, warn them, but I will repay. Vengeance is the Lord's. Judgment is the Lord's. It belongs to the Son. Judgment belongs to the Son because he did what the Father had asked him. I know that this is a very offensive message. I know that people don't want to listen to it because they don't want to hear who God is. The most interesting thing is the tolerant people are the ones who are the most intolerant. They say, oh, I tolerate everything as long as we all get away with everything we want. Because my truth is this and your truth is this and I respect your truth, so therefore I will tolerate it. But if everyone had their own version of truth, even if it was the exact opposite, then either both of those people are wrong or one of them is wrong. But they can't both be right. But if it be so true that God says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to me except through the Son. He's saying that somebody else is lying. He says, I am the good shepherd. Those who hear my voice are my sheep, and they will come through the gate. All who came before didn't come through the gate, and they are the thieves and robbers. Now keep in mind, I'm not trying to come off as perfect or judgmental. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When I came to the Lord, I realized what a wicked sinner I was. I realized how much I've hurt people. I realized how much I've hurt God. Without Him, I am nothing. Without Him, I am lost. I was corrupted because of sin. Now, a lot of what I'm saying, how can you say, how could I trust you? How can I trust what you're saying is true? Why is it you're right and my way of thinking, my belief is wrong? The thing is, those who are willing to search for the truth and surrender their version, those who look to God, not themselves, because we aren't God. We're made in His image, but we aren't Him. I can't prove that the biblical way of thinking is the truth unless you're willing to see, unless you're willing to acknowledge that the God who actually created you knows better. Some have even brazenly told me, you're wrong, your God doesn't exist. How would you know? You haven't disproved Him. I'm sorry, but He's proven Himself 100 times over to me, and you haven't disproven Him once to me. Well, it's because I feel this way. It's like, just because we feel something doesn't mean that our feelings aren't rooted in a lie. Our feelings make good servants, but they make terrible masters. If we go by our feelings, then what's to stop me from feeling like I could go through a stop sign in front of a cop and not get stopped? Although we're getting there, the world's falling apart so quickly and rapidly, but still the law remains the same. You don't believe in the stop sign, yet it's still there, and the law still exists. You don't believe in God, but that doesn't make Him go away. It just means that you've blinded yourself. You've chosen to not see. All in all, though, I don't believe that my God is a God of tolerance per se. Not in the way that the world thinks. He says be patient with them, grant them mercies, tell them the truth. You can tolerate the person, but don't tolerate their sin. That would be more accurate. I think that's going to be it for now. I know it's a heavy topic, unpopular belief, but I hope you see that people tend to not want to tolerate God in the name of tolerance. If He's right, then people just say, oh, that's intolerant of Him, so I'm not going to tolerate Him, even though I believe in tolerance. So there is a lot of hypocrisy in that belief, and that's why I can't follow that one. Don't get me wrong. Have I done hypocritical things as a Christian? Pretty sure I've fallen into it. But it's been open to me when I have been. I try and make the change. But that's going to be it. I pray you guys are well. I pray you search for His truth. Let Him open up your eyes. Take away that pride. Love you guys. God bless.